Welcome to another episode of Where the Geeks Gather. I am your host, Jam, aka Jamalaeus on the Twitters and the various gamer tags, and with me is my lovely co-host and movie buff expert, Mitendi.
Movie buff expert, depends on what movies we're talking about.
Well, particularly about the movies that we're going to be talking about. Now, this episode is the start of a long, 6-part series where we are going to be covering extensively the Resident Evil movies. Even though they don't actually say that. They don't do that cool line in the movies. But they do that in the games, though. Now, what's interesting, particularly about Resident Evil, is I'm more of a fan of the video games, but Mitendi...
You're more a fan of the movies.
Which is probably why it's more important to have someone like you to discuss this.
And someone that everyone is currently now rolling their eyes and booing.
Well, that's silly, really, if they do that, because I think it's always good to have a balanced look at things. Because we have to remember, because the Resident Evil movies were so successful, millions and millions of dollars were made per movie. So I don't doubt that there is a lot of people that never ever touched one of the video games at all. So I don't actually think you're in a minority. I think, if anything, a majority of people that were fans of this series were just on the movies, and as opposed to be, I think the general consensus really was that people that liked the games didn't particularly think fondly of the movies, but I think there are people that have a bit balanced too. I'm personally a bit mixed. I mean, there's some of these movies I quite like, some I really like actually, and then there are some of these movies I'm not so fond of. But what we're going to be doing with this series is we're actually going to re-watch every movie individually. So that's why I'm reserving a bit of opinion actually, because we've just watched the first one, and that's what we're going to be covering on this episode. And it'll be interesting to see what my thoughts and your thoughts are once we revisit each movie individually. And it'll be, I think it's fascinating really to do this, really, just to see where things are. So I am sort of in the process of doing a similar thing with the video games, but we wanted to sort of use this opportunity for both of us to kind of give our thoughts on movies. But yeah, Resident Evil.
Yeah.
So should we go back to the beginning? When did you first see this?
When did I first see this?
Yeah.
Well, this came out, as we looked last night, over 10 years ago, I think.
2002.
2002. Oh, so yeah, definitely well over 2. Let's just check in the handy
we do have some notes for it.
Notes that we have obviously prepared in advance. So this first was released in, no, that's critical and public response reviews, so that's not quite what we're looking for. Yeah, March 15th, 2002 in the US, and March 21st,
basically, yeah, March,
2002.
Yeah.
So, yeah, well over 10 years ago.
When did you first watch this? Is it a DVD, your DVD? Or...
No, I first saw this on Sky.
On Sky. Brilliant.
On their
For our American viewers, because as we probably get a lot of American listeners or people from abroad, Sky is a television network, kind of like a cable network, I guess, in a way, in the UK. Yeah, so that's basically what that is for people who are not sure.
So I was probably, according to what would be my mum, too young to be sat watching this film, but...
Is it 15, isn't it?
I think so.
I think it is. I'm going to just say it's for 15 certificate. Yeah. It looks like it's probably a 15.
I would think so.
And that's...
So yeah, I was sat at home, way past my bedtime, I would probably have thought, by the time this was on. And I actually started watching it halfway through.
Really?
Yeah,
that's
around
bit
about...
of a weird way to...
Yeah, I think it was after the laser corridor, which we will obviously come to.
We're gonna get to that.
I think it was somewhere between the bit where the zombies had first initially been released. And after watching it, I was like, oh, this is cool. I really want to see the beginning. So I then flicked over to +1, which was showing it for an hour later. Yeah. So I watched it in a really weird order, but all in one night. I did stop watching it once I caught up. I didn't watch the same bits twice. But it was cool to understand what I was actually watching. Well, by then it was like gone midnight. It was a bit late. But yeah, that was literally my first experience of Resident Evil, and I did become slightly obsessed with it after that.
Nothing wrong with that. So I thought I'd just quickly mention before I say my first experience, which was certainly a bit more naughty. But it's but I mentioned the 15 certificate again for audiences abroad. We have what's called the British Board of Film Classification over here. So basically our ratings board the highest is an 18 certificate, so you have to be 18 years old and older to see it. There's 18, there's 15, there's 12A now. It used to be just 12. 12A means you can see it as long as you have an adult with you. Thanks, Spider-Man. PG, which is parental guidance, and then there's U, which I don't know any movies that have that anymore, which is
still Universal.
Yeah.
A lot of most kind of like Disney, Pixar type stuff.
I don't think most Pixars even have. Most of them are still. Actually, I think Inside Out was a U, possibly.
Yeah, you still get
a lot still are PGs.
Yeah, I think you still get the odd few that will be. Yeah. Generally speaking, it's a kids' film.
Yeah, that's a quick summary of how it works over here in the UK. So anyway, I saw a pirated version, as you do, which I believe it was a DVD version. It could have been VHS because it was that long ago. I can't remember. But I think it was DVD. I'm not going to say how I got hold of that, but let's just say a certain member of my family managed to get hold of this stuff quite easily. So I saw like a more bootleg version of this movie, and in a funny way, seeing it in the poor quality that I saw it in, it almost seemed to make the horror elements look more horrific because it looked much darker in the pirate copy than the actual this version that I've just seen, which is it looks just cleaner. the CG looked much better in the pirate version.
Yeah, I would actually think it was probably on VHS because the DVD version didn't really come out until a lot later.
I think VHS probably sounds about right, but yeah. Yeah, the version I saw, the audio was awful, terrible audio, terrible quality, and yet despite that, I still found some enjoyment in this movie. I guess that says a lot about my character, really, how quality's never really mattered. Yeah, but that's my first experience, and this might be, I have kind of, a bit like you mentioned, when it's been on TV, I've occasionally dipped in and out, but our recent reviewing of it might be the first time I've actually looked at it all the way through again with proper quality. So yeah, that was my history, really. Of course, that might probably worth saying that I've been a kind of a long-term fan of the Resident Evil series in general through the video games. I was a huge fan, really. Probably Resident Evil 2 is the one that solidified it for me, although I did rent the original Resident Evil at Blockbuster, because everyone loves the Blockbuster stories when you talk about renting. But I'm not going to dwell too much on that. What's will be fun with us too is that I kind of will bring that kind of, I guess, video game fanboyism to the debate.
Me, on the other hand,
will be more of a film person.
Yeah, prior to seeing the first one, I'd never even heard of
the game,
Resident Evil.
That's
I didn't know it. I was a very, very casual gamer with more point and click kind of journeys for me at that time of life.
Did you know it was a video game when you saw it?
I didn't. When I first saw it, I literally didn't know.
That's interesting,
anything.
So it shows it hadn't, and that might be quite believable at that stage, because I don't think the series had really garnered mainstream sort of success by that point. Like in terms of it was recognised, but not like as big as it is now, where most people now are quite aware that this is a video game in some form. In fact, but if you go see one of these movies at the cinema, they usually promo the latest game, like the last chapter, which we did see at the cinema, previewing Resident Evil 7, the game, in the trailers, which makes sense, really, doesn't it? But I don't particularly, 2002, I'm just trying to think, I guess Code Veronica, because that was 2000, which was a kind of, it's sort of the third game in the series, technically. So we're quite far away, actually, from sort of the Resident Evil 4, which would come a bit later, would be one of the biggest successful games of the series. Although, but we won't go there. Let's stick to the film today.
That is for a completely different podcast, to which you and obviously
me and my left hand.
But we are going to be focusing completely on the movies, with obviously some game elements added in there.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, our first interactions of Resident Evil. Obviously, we are literally going to be talking about anything and everything about these films. So if by chance, if anyone has not seen them, please be aware we will not be holding back. This is a completely, call the word spoiler.
The funny thing is, though, although I know this is a big thing for internet and stuff, I don't feel there's much to spoil here, really, especially if you're a big, because I'm a huge horror fan generally, and if you are a big horror guy,
if you didn't know the little amnesia twist, you might be a bit
just spoil there.
Come on. Well, if you didn't know it, you do now.
I don't know, I'm just one of those guys, I guess. It's talk about the damn movie. And if you
don't, so on that note, let's just talk about the damn movie. So, Resident Evil. Everyone knows.
Starring Mila Jovovich.
Yes, starring Mila Jovovich, Colin Salmon, Eric Mabias, Michelle Rodriguez. I mean, come on. It is an excellent cast. And we've also missed a guy who I've completely blanked on his name. Oh.
Is it Mark Anthony? The guy that's in Rome. And...
James Purefoy. There we go. We will get there in the end. Initially, it begins with a very seemingly normal office scenario. You know, guy gets coffee, they go in the elevator. That's basically the start of the film.
Maybe like I want to backtrack a little bit with the dialogue bit with the guy that does the like this is the Umbrella Corporation. They own 9 out of 10 of all the places. You know, like they have 9 out of 10 of their products.
I forgot about that, and I literally watched it yesterday.
The reason I like to talk about that bit is becomes quite a staple for the movies, where the beginning of I think every movie has some sort of voiceover, which Mila Jovovich I think does for all of the remaining 5. But this is the only film in a series which is just a generic dude just sort of talking about Umbrella being. Yeah, basically he says it's the biggest pharmaceutical company in the world. 9 out of 10 products are in home. Really, something I don't believe that was a big sort of emphasis in the game. Being Resident Evil, you kind of think it would have comparisons to the first game, the infamous Spencer Mansion, which and this is probably the only few times I'm going to reference the game. It's the only bit really referenced to the first game is probably the opening section, which is very briefly in a mansion. Kind of.
We're jumping ahead here.
Well, not really. It's because it is
They haven't even said about the fact, the Red Queen goes crazy and kills everyone.
Oh, yeah, of course. But yeah.
It's like a major thing. If she doesn't do that, the infection will spread and the world will die.
Of course.
Oh, wait. Because, we've got a franchise.
That was her real thinking, is how can I make more movies out of this?
Yeah.
And then one day in the later movies, I'll have better CG. So.
Yeah. Somehow, I just look even more like a real girl.
Like Cortana in Halo.
I know, right? So yeah, basically the Red Queen, who is basically the artificial intelligence that runs the Hive, which is the underground facility that Umbrella has created to test and create their very lucrative world-destroying products, which, underground is the best place probably. In finding that out, that it has been released, rather than telling anyone, the best option is to lock all the doors,
shut it down,
everything, and then gas or drop elevators up. That is the best option in life, I think.
Yep. Shit hits the fan, basically.
Pretty much.
They don't really tell you at this stage, do you? But essentially something happens and everything gets locked down. But yeah, you get a good satisfying lady stuck in the lift and her head. Well, it's implied, isn't it?
Implied, yeah. But I think actually the terror in her face and the fact that it goes black and her head's been lopped off is slightly more terrifying than if you'd really seen it.
Yeah, I quite dug that. They do the gradual drowning of some people. There's the sprinklers have been set, the fire alarm system itself. I quite like that. And then there's a guy that comes in and just goes, "Oh, screw that!" He just gets the axe and starts ploughing it on the window. So at least somebody's thinking ahead a bit.
Yeah,
and, I mean, how on earth he didn't manage to get through was it bulletproof or whatever it probably is? It's an underground facility, glass. So they obviously have more money than anything for expendable income for bulletproof windows. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, basically, Red Queen kills everyone. So at this point, the big Umbrella Corporation guys have absolutely no idea what's gone on because, as I said, they don't have safety protocols. They've literally placed this artificial intelligence to do everything because that was a good idea. It cuts to Alice, who is
the
in
eye
opens. And
probably another staple for the films. I think is her
naked.
Eye opening.
Yeah,
and another staple in the movies is Mila Jovovich being naked.
I remember reading somewhere, or possibly. An interview, some such thing anyway, that each film, the reason she is naked and kind of in a fetal position or asleep is it's meant to embody the fact that she's always kind of brand new each time. She's meant to be like a child being reborn every time. So obviously it's she wakes up with amnesia, she then wakes up having had all tests and crap done on her. She wakes up again after having more tests and crap done on her. So it's meant to be that each time and each film starts with the eye, and the nakedness is that she's actually...
Take a drink if you see a nipple. So.
Yeah, she's actually meant to be being reborn, but, that's a bit up.
Totally didn't get that.
Apparently, that's why.
I respect the effort.
Yeah. So basically, so Alice wakes up, completely no idea where she is, who she is, what's going on. There's very good sort of section that you picked up on, where she trusts her writing.
So there's a pad and paper. Well, there's a bit where it says, what did it say on the note?
Today, all your dreams come true.
So, which for someone with amnesia, I thought the clever thing, even though I'm surprised for someone with amnesia would think to do this. I mean, I've never had it. So, but the logic seems to be she writes the note again herself to see if it's her writing, and I just kind of find that clever. I thought clever thing for amnesia-ridden Mila Jovovich, or Alice, I should say. Alice in this film. Yeah, she goes rummaging through her cupboards. Apparently, it's Umbrella likes white. Apparently, they like all their clothes to be white and everything. And then obviously you keep your guns in the drawers locked away with the code you don't remember. Yeah, and then of course she slips into a nice little red dress, which is kind of the thing for this. That's the front cover for the movie, isn't it?
Yeah.
You weren't a fan of this.
I'm not a fan of the red dress. That's the one thing actually that generally speaking is running through all of the films is they have really bad taste in wardrobe. There is something about the outfits they stick these people in that is, you can't even say it's necessarily movie related, because it's not movie related, sorry, game related, because apart from Jill Valentine's in the second one, it's not.
We'll get to that.
What Alice wears isn't really related to the games in any way. So, at least not the red dress.
No, it's not. No, the similarity I was going to make is I thought this would be a fun game too. Is it worse than Ada's dressed in Resident Evil 4 or Resident Evil? Which one was it in Retribution? The fifth one. She wears that stupid dress because it's so practical.
Yeah, they're saying that it's a while since I've seen that one, so I can't yet comment.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. But so basically, she puts on this red dress with black boots, which I do agree is very sensible. She doesn't come out in high heels, which is very different for usually a lead.
She doesn't do Jurassic World.
Yeah, so that's good. But it's weird, like side hem, and then you can kind of see weird shorts. It's not really, the most flattering or practical of dresses. I can't see anyone even wearing this out, so it's a very odd choice. But yeah, moving on from clothes. So she goes to go outside, gets spooked by the wind. Ooh.
Yeah, I like these kind of piss poor attempts at trying to make you. There are actually there's some moments where you think there's one moment I think rewatching it I thought still is effective, but we'll get there, which is the water part. You'll remember it. But I mean, when I think I saw this originally, if you're going in blind, maybe it will still give you the shiveries or the chillies, but it just didn't seem to hit the mark to me, where it's like, oh, woo, wind and stuff like that. It just, I saw what they're trying to do, but I guess maybe that's in a way is them trying to be like the game in a way, just like give this ominous, because it's trying to set up this, you haven't seen the beast yet kind of moment, or you haven't seen the real fear.
Yeah, and I suppose actually, if you didn't know who you were or where you were, you would find it a bit creepy.
Yeah, in a way. But I just thought the presentation of it in the film just didn't pan out really. It just comes across as like she goes outside, goes, and just backs up for no reason. I forgot my keys. So
well, she backs up, and then Eric Myers, who plays Matt, grabs her, and the it
moves very fast,
creepy, or at least they're not meant to be creepy, kind of efficient. I suppose they would be scary because they're kind of, but they don't use front doors. Apparently, these people don't understand what doors are for.
The agents from Umbrella Chronicles busting through the windows. People know that reference that have been listening to the podcast, and except they don't have the German voice actor, the German accents with them. But anyway, but they basically swapped gas masks, everything, or whatever, and then it moves so quickly here, and then the guy corners Alice and just says, "Report, soldier!" And then I did quite like though that his like little soldier buddy straight away says, "Oh, she's suffering from the effects of the amnesia."
Yeah, she's like, "Oh, the defense."
So they are explaining stuff, which is good. Listed. Yeah, and then quite soon after they take their gas masks off, you reveal the stunning cast of a few generic white men and two ladies and what's his name? That's obviously quite famous.
Colin Salmon.
That's the one.
I think he's called One, isn't he, in the film?
Just One.
Is it One?
God bless him.
I'm sure it's One. That's like his code name.
Yeah. Well, what really kind of follows from here is they.
Yeah. James One Shade. I don't know if that's meant to mean anything.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Whatever.
So wow, I didn't even know those people had names.
I just thought, it's just that's why I said generic.
Yeah.
SWAT man.
But it's like there's
canon fodder for the movie. So.
Basically, 4 of the people in the SWAT team who you kind of learn the names of and see their faces. And then there's 3 who, are basically laser beam fodder.
Laser beam. Well, we'll get there. But,
we'll get there. So
that's gonna be our new catchphrase.
Yeah. So off they go. They take Alice and Matt with them because reasons, and enter the train.
I thought it was funny they took Matt with them because they were just like, "Oh, just bring him with us."
Yeah, because he tries to claim that he's a cop.
Yeah.
But
and they even look up his really quickly, don't they?
Yeah.
They're like, "Well, he's not on the system," and he goes, "I'm not there yet. I'm new."
Yeah.
So he's trying to do the Leon S. Kennedy of the.
Yeah.
I'm new.
But he doesn't even really give them any reason to be there. So I mean, why would you just go, "Oh, let's take this random, possibly really civilian with us"? Why not just chain him up in the house and wait till you come back? Though I suppose
because we need more people to kill in this movie.
Yeah, that's true. What is life if not cannon fodder?
Absolutely.
So so they all head off into the underground train.
We go into the ending of the first game where we jump to the lab basically straight. Let's just skip to the end.
They do find James Purefoy in the train, who also has an amnesia. Somehow, even though actually in that kind of space, I mean, her gas is very localized. Somehow, Red Queen knew she was in the shower, which is kind of creepy.
She's watching. Yeah, she's looking at you.
However, he's in the train, and how does that work?
My big question for the Umbrella Corporation is where is this amnesia gas? So it seems to be being expelled everywhere. That's an expensive thing. This is a pricey deal. But then, of course, Umbrella's really rich. We know this. So they've got money to burn, as we'll learn in later movies.
So they find her, and then in midst of this, the door opens, and I have to say, like Michelle Rodriguez's character, Rain, has kind of like a little bit of a banter with JD.
It's like blow me or something.
Yeah,
I love that.
I think she's quite obviously kind of like
steals the show.
Hot ass kind of going on. And I always found this scene a little bit funny, and that the camera way they chose to run it was always a bit weird, where JD, she's trying to open the door and she can't, and so he's like, "Oh, let me do it. I am a man."
I'm a man.
And he gets it open, but gets spooked by the fact that
there's a man there.
There's a man there who falls on the floor, and then he turns to look at Rain, and the wind from the door opening somehow makes her hair go.
Woo!
And she's all like looking at him sexy like, and I'm like, this is just a weird place to put it. It suddenly looks like she's in some sort of swimsuit commercial rather than a Resident Evil film. It's I always found that bit a bit strange.
Well, it's Paul W.S. Anderson, the director of this. I mean, he certainly said in some interviews how he's not afraid to get a bit of nipple out from his acting. So he does probably. I don't know, but I
just find that really odd, that bit. It's like they're suddenly trying to be like, God, he loves her. She's so beautiful.
That's a good accent. But yeah, I guess the next bit is them really just they get in the facility, and then they tap away at some computers for a bit.
They do have the Alice going, "Tell me where I am."
She's insisting, "Tell me right now."
So it's like the explanation for all the guy tells her, all the viewers that have no idea what the hell's happening.
Again, I gotta give them credit. They're explaining it. And they are telling you what's going down. It's at this beginning bit, I was having a bit of Doom flashbacks temporarily, and then that's probably about where it ended because probably Doom is still probably more superior. But that's a story for another day. So he gives the quick sort of they're there for what they're doing, what she is, and they tell her what she really is. She's a.
Why on earth they couldn't do that prior to going down there?
I agree, but at the same time, at least they do it. It's done. It's mentioned. I'd much prefer it than the typical brush off. I can't tell you right now. I'll tell you later when it's important, which is also featured in the bloody game sometimes. I'll tell you when we get to this end of the chapter point. So never understand. That's a cliche of lots of programs, though. Now's not a good time. We'll tell you later. Moving on. So
they find their way into the facility. To note, Matt, who is the cop guy, is handcuffed, and obviously Alice and the guy I can't remember the name of, who's played by James Purefoy.
Mark Anthony.
He is Spence. That's it.
Mark Anthony.
Plays Spence.
Easier.
Are free and wandering around. To note, they are a pretend married couple as well.
Married couple,
yeah. Umbrella has fronted their marriage and everything else in their lives.
Well, they got a lot of money. You could
pay for a wedding. That's actually probably in their budget. It's wedding funds.
I don't understand. Why do you need to pretend? It's like
it's more believable, you know? If they couldn't just be, you know, a boyfriend and girlfriend couple, that is not believable in 2002.
Do you get like a little, I don't know, the environmental agency comes and knocks on your door. Do you have any secret labs underneath your house here?
Oh, wait, I see. So,
Again, but Umbrella's really rich, so why not? I mean...
yeah.
The,
Fun.
Yeah, that's probably why.
Yeah.
Some director's just like somebody's probably putting up in his little meeting saying, "Why do we need to have the pretend people married?" And the director's like, "Yeah, because I'm rich. Okay, so this is my facility.
I want to drink champagne and caviar and frivolities. You can only do this at a wedding." I don't know why he sounds like that. So in they go, and they are kind of stealthily walking through because there's no one around. And all the lights are out.
Yes, the theory, the tension building.
What's going on? And one scene I think is quite good. They basically, as Jam was saying, they reach a point which is flooded. Where the guy, which I think is a good continuation, the guy that was trying to axe his way out the windows created little holes to which water was pooling. And they kind of, a couple of them go off to scout ahead and the rest of them stop. And for many times, I never really heard this and didn't actually quite understand why, they showed it so much. But there's a scene where Matt looks up at an air vent and he can hear the zombies.
Ah, that's interesting.
And, he's sort of looking and because it kind of goes, but it could also just be air.
Yeah.
And I remember for many times, I couldn't understand what on earth he was doing. And it's like, he's actually, if you listen, it sounds like zombie sound.
That's quite clever, actually. Yeah, I didn't pick up on that, actually. But
yeah.
Just thought it's bomb.
Just staring into space. Yeah, but I always thought that was quite a clever kind of, if you weren't quite paying attention, you wouldn't have really heard it and might have just thought it was air. But everyone else is so, get here, get there. And he's kind of just like, hang on a minute, that's a bit weird.
Yeah. I always find it this is another film cliche, but it's always funny how... there's just no zombies anywhere until you get to the designated point of the film, and because I don't know, even when it's presented earlier in the movie, when they gas everybody and everything, they're kind of scattered everywhere, aren't they?
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure aren't some of them in corridors?
Yeah, they would be, and even some of the ones they walk through right at the beginning. But yeah, apparently these zombies, what they do is they get up, they walk to the designated plot point where they need to appear, and then they'll appear then. I get it, because it's a horror movie cliche that it's build tension, have nothing for a while, and then bombard you with everything, which is pretty much what Resident Evil does, actually.
Yeah.
Yep.
One thing I always found funny as well is the whole flooding issue, because I thought that they were on about the fact that the flooding just came from those little free bits.
Yeah.
Which I thought couldn't have been really producing that much water. But then they're all like, it's all flooded. It's like, can't they walk through water?
Yeah.
It can't be the entire room from floor to ceiling is full of water. I always find it a weird little bit. But they basically have to end up looping to dining room B, which is not a dining room.
Is it? Have we gone past the bit already? Because maybe I'm getting confused.
Oh yeah, sorry, I skipped the lady.
Yeah. So with they go past the flooded room. There's a dead lady there floating around, and then as they walk away, her eyes open, and I think her hand goes on the room, which I thought was a pretty good jump scare for the time as well. I mean, if you know it's coming, you know it's coming. But that was cool. I thought. I think that to this day is probably one of the in this. It's probably one of the only effective jumpy scares they do. None of it really seems to hit the mark anymore rewatching the movie, but then again, I still think that's good. It's quite clever for building the tension and
Yeah, because it's only something you as a viewer that see. There isn't, and all of the characters have already moved away. Yeah. They do see her floating around, but they think obviously she's just a dead person. But when you kind of then why you wouldn't do that initially as a zombie, because you'd be like, ooh.
Yeah, again,
that's just doing the trope of zombies out there at designated locations.
It opens its eyes at the right points for the designated plots. Right, anyway, let's get to the bit where, because Paul W.S. Anderson thought, hey, I'm going to do horror differently compared to these other suckers. I'm not going to kill off people one by one. I'm going to murder most of the cast. Yeah, so that's in the beginning. And we're not even 10 minutes, it was like 15 minutes
about 15, 20 minutes in. So Rain, JD and Matt all stay in dining room B, which is full of tanks. Mm-hmm. Only 2 I can remember the names of, and the 3 extra random dead people. To be dead people. All head off along with Alice and Spence to go and confront the Red Queen. Kaplan, who is kind of like the tech guy, I suppose. He is all, I've got her defences down.
As you do. You know, when you tap away at a computer.
Yeah, just like that.
He's done his
this
job.
very clever AI, he's got her defences down. Colin Salmond, because one is a silly name, heads off into the corridor, and partway through, the lights come on, and they're all, ah.
Yeah, it's building the tension, of course. He does his little bypass trick at the end of the door. And then the door opens, and, you know, Alex Sam apparently doesn't think to walk through the open door. You know, don't get me wrong, I'm no SWAT team expert, but you know, when a door is open, it looks clear. Maybe you go through it, but hey,
exactly.
You're the leader here.
If he'd like stepped in, he could. We could have turned and gone right in. You come, and the others would have come, and he could have stepped in. But instead, as soon as the other three step in with the bag full of stuff. Both doors close, and actually the door where Colin Salmon stood doesn't even close quickly.
He could have just stepped out or jumped in. And the only reason I get so sore about this is I like his character, and it's a bit disappointing they just get rid of him so early.
Yeah.
It gives me Alien 3 vibes all over again with Charles Dance. But anyway, so they get trapped in there, and then we have this becomes, I guess it's iconic really, isn't it, for the series, because they do like to revisit it a lot later, and the infamous laser grid scene. So the lasers start coming out, they're deadly lasers that if you touch them they literally cut bits apart of you, and you do get the very, very satisfying, you know, everyone ducks, and then it chops a guy's half his hand off, and it just slices a girl her head right off, but not straight away. It does the little delay, just so
just like he's like medic, and you just think she stood there, and then you see the little trail of blood, and then she just kind of goes.
And and so we know we're in for a fun time, and pretty much that all these folks are screwed. I think Mr. Hacky guy is running a bypass again, as you do, but he's not typing quick. Basically, Alex Salmon, or One as we call him, he's dodging the lasers, doing all that, and then he thinks he's got it nailed, and then the lasers do the infamous split apart, which you wonder why the hell it doesn't just start with that.
I always think it's funny, the second guy who we don't know the name of, the laser's like at the bottom, and he's all like, I can jump that, and he kind of jumps over,
I did like that,
and then it jumps
up with him
to kind of catch him, and he kind of just goes, oh shit, you know.
And this is yet another Umbrella has too much money, because I can't tell, are the lasers following them, or are they deliberately just being dickish?
Because it kind of seems, because like Colin Salmon knows this bit because he's behind him, so he jumps up onto the top, and you see his knife get sliced, like that's how close it was. And then he jumps down, and he's all like prepared to do whatever. He's like, I'll go up, I'll go down, and then it crisscrosses, and he's just like, there's nothing I can do.
It's impossible to dodge it after that. But I can't tell if that's like, this is my thinking of the programming of these lasers. Are they programmed to literally just mess with the person in the laser grid, giving them the false impression they might live?
Yeah, so he's secretly sitting there going, oh, you think you'll survive?
Only a company like Umbrella would spend the money on dickish lasers. So...
Because, you know, they have that all expendable income.
Which I think is going to be the theme of this podcast is basically expendable income. And don't get me wrong, I love this scene, actually. It's very satisfying in terms of a gore thing. You know.
You have that, like, tiny little moment because Kaplan goes, oh, I've got it. And it's like an inch probably away.
Yeah,
like,
he's
it turns
pretty
off
much got it,
literally as it goes out of his back.
Yeah.
And you kind of think, oh, it's okay. And you're like, oh no, it's come out behind him. And his eyeball like melts away.
He falls into a CGI blush, but apparently I guess they didn't have the budget to afford actually showing it in more detail.
No,
it's kind of off screen, isn't it?
You just see the chunks come away, but you know, it would have, because obviously Alice and Kaplan kind of decide to go in and do it because her defences are definitely now down.
Definitely now. We double check this time.
Yeah, double check this time.
Oh, but not before we have a quick jump scare as the guy walks through very gradually and Alice does the hand on the shoulder thing.
But then, he picks the bag up, and you'd think there'd be like chunks everywhere that he'd have to step over, but he kind of, you know, they don't show that, which is I suppose not exactly.
I guess it
disappointing,
keeps
but
it as a 15, maybe. I don't know. Maybe it would in too
maybe
much.
chunks are too much.
Because that could be a certification thing, but I don't know. Still, yeah, I want my money's worth it, you know?
Yeah, so off Alice made her into a do now.
What are the generic folk in this movie?
Alice and Cap head into the Red Queen's chamber, upon which they plan to restart her, and somehow apparently this will tell them everything they need. I never really quite understand how in restarting her meant that they would gain the information to find out why she went nuts in the first place.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a weird one.
It's read a bit over my head, really, with the... And then, has he got the backup plan already?
Well, he takes her motherboard, doesn't he? So she can't reboot. But then they reboot her, and then he takes her board. Oh, just before that, I've missed the bit where she obviously creates her CG image of herself.
You're all going to die down here, and I got a really bad British accent on. Yes. So, everybody bad in every movie has a very bad British accent. Even the AIs.
Why? I still don't understand. For a apparently really clever AI doesn't say, I have done this because it got out. You know, it's like, if you turn me off, all the doors will open and then you will all die down here. That would probably make more sense. I would not be switching her off if that was me at that point.
See, because Umbrella has a lot of money, so they program an AI which apparently has more personality than Cortana in Halo, and actually thinks for it. Well, obviously self-aware at times. And that gets more weird as we go through these movies with this, because this is a repeating AI.
I would think, if anything, she probably is self-aware in some degree, because she's self-aware enough to realise that they're all infected. You know, it's a weird.
She seems to get off from it too.
Yeah. I always found. I know, obviously, it's a movie and there has to be zombies appearing at some place and somehow. But why would you? You know, if your whole thing you were willing to kill everybody, why on earth would you not say, if you turn me off, the doors will unlock. There are dead people in there that will eat you. It's not that hard. But yeah, basically, she doesn't do that, and they switch her off, and all the doors everywhere open.
Of course. Ooh. Now we can enter further into the labs.
Yeah. So it does actually then cut to Rain, JD and Matt, who find a survivor. So Rain goes off to investigate, and she finds a lone woman who is somehow ahead of the crowd, which is, you know, interesting, one thing to note. And she's all like, I'm here to help you. But then the woman, I don't really know why Rain would be so close to her face. Because she is really close with her hands on her face. It's no wonder she gets bitten, you know, personal space and all that. She probably deserved that. I'm sure there's a lawsuit in there somewhere.
Apparently how you handle SWAT situations, you get right up in their face. But we do know that Michelle Rodriguez is badass in practically everything. I can probably imagine her that if she's, I don't know, up against some huge monster, she'll just literally get up in her face and go, I'm going to bite your face off. Unfortunately, the zombie beats her to it. But
and bites a chunk clean right out of her, as she says herself. Upon doing this, JD and Matt come running. And he's like, he found a survivor, but she's I quite like the scene, actually, because he shoots her in the leg a couple of times.
He's actually quite sensible for a change. He doesn't do the stupid thing in a lot of zombie movies where they kind of, like, stay where you are, freeze. He actually he uses a bit of what I think initiative.
I mean, initially he does sort of say, stay still or I'll shoot. And
he does that stuff. But
I always when he shoots her in the leg, she kind of looks down and her arms like kind of go like, you know, like in like comedy things, and then she just sort of
like an Ace Ventura.
Yeah, when he gets got with the arrows, it's like that, and then she then looks up at him and goes, you know, I just think that's really funny that she's kind of like, you shot me, you.
How dare you?
You know, it's like, how dare you shoot me? I'm now going to eat you. I always found that scene really funny.
I mean, he shoots one leg and shoots the other leg, and it's each time, and and eventually he just thinks, screw it, shoot in the head, basically.
Well, no, he shoots her 7 times, but then Michelle Rodriguez,
then she does that.
She goes, no one gets her there because don't forget she disappears, doesn't she?
Oh yeah,
so she doesn't get shot in the head. Yeah. But Michelle Rodriguez she just shoots him with her automatic, and she goes flying into the air.
Oh, that was great. That was really satisfying.
Because she goes,
You see, this is the era of movies where when you shoot them with a gun, they launch further. They just propel somehow into the.
Yeah. And JD's just like, I shot her 6 times and she wouldn't go down. And then she's just like, well, she's down now.
So I hope so too, but apparently not, as we'll find out later. But,
So upon hearing all the shooting, all the other survivors, of which there are now only 3, come running and they're like, oh, we found a survivor. And he's like, you shot her? Then he's like, oh, she was right there. And they discover that obviously she's gone wandering away. But there's then not too long when they start hearing that.
The infamous, well, it's not, this is not infamous fist, but this is quite a common zombie thing, where the dragging of the axe, which we've seen in a lot of movies now, probably better done, I think, in The Crazies. I would say that's the best version, which is we're trailing the fork behind, which that one is that still gets me every time. Which is a movie that I'm talking about, the remake of The Crazies, which I highly recommend actually. But this is dragging the axe with the kind of skewed foot, which is, it looks good actually. It looks good, but the only thing is this is why I don't get it with Resident Evil, is it's a zombie, and I never understand why would he, unless it's super glued to his freaking hand, which apparently it is, why is he holding the axe? So, reason maybe it's because I'm linking it to the games and maybe zombie films in general, but that's not a zombie thing really. The zombies are just dangling.
Well, maybe he was like limping and he was like, oh, this looks like a handy tool.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
They say they might have.
It's effective for what it is.
Memory.
You straight away question, because none of the other zombies ever do this again in the movies. It's never consistent that they're like holding things. Really, this is the only time you'll see this. And then
we missed a bit, which I think is good as well. You know, when the woman's disappeared and like Matt appears and they're like, the blood's coagulated, and she's like,
yes,
and he's kind of
detective.
And she's just like, so, and he's like, well, blood doesn't do that till after you're dead. But he's actually only doing that surreptitiously because he wants to pick up the handcuff keys that Rain drops on the floor. But I do find that funny. He's just like, it's coagulated.
It's coagulated. How did you not know that? Aren't you stupid, you SWAT person?
No, actually saying that, I think that did teach me that when I first saw it.
Oh, really?
And I think I've always remembered that since then, that blood coagulates when you die. I mean, I was young, come on, it was like a nice teaching tool for me.
Biology lessons from Resident Evil.
You get your money's worth right there.
School.
So obviously Matt has got the keys, so he's trying to unlock himself from his handcuffs, because really in a zombie apocalypse scenario, being handcuffed is really not the best scenario to be in. Everybody else starts shooting upon realising that some of them, they're zombies and their faces are partially missing. This is something I don't quite get, because they say it's only been 4 hours, yet half of the zombies, some of the zombies' faces and things like that are like decaying already. I mean, 4 hours, that wouldn't be happening like that.
Yes.
And none of them die by like brunt trauma or anything.
Yeah, because they want to do the kind of, they want to make you, they want to show the viewer they're zombies, don't they? It would have made much more sense if they just looked normal, but oh well, it is what it is, isn't it? Not going to berate them too much for that one, but
no, but that's something I've always sort of.
Yeah, I agree.
4 hours.
Weird. Yeah.
So yeah, basically that happens. The teams end up. Oh, there's a lot of shouting about don't shoot the tanks. I think really why would that be the first thing Alice would think of? Let's shoot, not please shoot them in the heads. It's the tanks.
Oh no, watch out for everything.
Well, she doesn't even know what's in them, so that's a bit of a funny bit. Rain, everyone apart from Alice and Matt run for the door when they start running out of ammo. Alice and Matt kind of get sidetracks because he's all. I quite like this bit actually. The zombie that's on fire after one tank explodes, because he's like stuck underneath the thing, and the zombie one's trying to like get him, but he's on fire. I think that's always quite good. So remember, actually, I think that was in the behind the scenes, and that's actually like one of the famous stunt double who was actually on fire for it because he didn't want anyone else to do it.
I do love their fiery stunts.
And they had to do it so quickly before it actually burned through the padding and got to his body.
Yeah, that sounds like a stunt double.
So, I was thinking that was quite cool. Yeah, so he eventually ends up freeing himself, and then a tank's sort of like going off behind him, and there's 3 zombies at the front, and then Alice just pulls him from the side. I thought that was only anticlimactic. I was like, why wouldn't you think yourself, oh look, there's an exit out this way.
Let's go this way.
But yeah, so off they go.
But not too long into there, they're obviously trying to run like a bypass on the door or something, and then one of the generic soldiers gets dragged.
I do quite like that bit.
Yeah.
Because I just like the scene where, because obviously Spence, who's James Purefoy, has got there first, and he's just like stood nonchalantly waiting, and Captain's like, "You waited?" And he's like, "I didn't know the code." I always thought that was quite funny. The Cap can't remember the code because he's all butterfingers, so the other guy tries to do it.
Hudson runs a bypass.
Yeah, so pop the code in, and he's like, "There you go!" But there are zombies behind the door.
Elevator zombies.
Yeah, and they all pull him in, and Rain gets bitten again on the arm, and she's like, "JG!" like trying to grab him, and he's all getting eaten, and they do the stereotypical hand through the crowd as he gets mauled.
Yeah, this is a bit disappointing for a zombie movie because it doesn't really you don't really see anything. You just gets swamped, really.
Yeah.
That's it. It's not like a sort of a Day of the Dead where you see them literally get ripped apart or anything like that. But again, we must have our 15th certificate. But mate, you can do a really good drinking game of Michelle Rodriguez getting bitten.
Yeah, I mean, really, if she was going to turn, if it was like effectiveness, say the T-virus got more effective the more you got bitten, she should have turned a lot quicker.
Typically, in a lot of these sort of zombie-esque fashion, it's so inconsistent with how people turn in this. And she gets damaged quite.
I mean, this is her. She's probably got about 3 bites by now.
Yeah,
at least 3 or 4, I would have thought.
Yeah, definitely.
And this is in the space of like 5 minutes.
Yeah, and she doesn't. It's funny with her. I don't know, but we'll talk more about it as we progress through the film because there's a character. Yeah, I think we'll just get to it when we get to it. But yeah, this is a typical trope of a lot of like horror zombie styles where when the plot makes sense, we will turn them. But
and it is Michelle Rodriguez. We don't want her dying too soon. So they all run off back to where the Red Queen's room was. Which I always thought was a bit funny that they managed to run back again. So they've run one. They don't show them get into there. You'd think that all those zombies that they already ran past would still be in the way. Yet somehow they make it back, and they're right behind them at the door. I think, why would you not get one of them again? But yeah, that's me being picky. Matt runs away from Alice.
Yeah.
So they split. And she ends up. Is that when she ends up with the dog?
Yeah. I didn't really understand why Alice is just casually just walking around. That's what it seems she's doing at this point. Is where she's thinking, I'll just go off by myself and just investigate as you do. And,
I suppose she was looking for either Matt or the others, wasn't she?
Yeah, but I think it's more the body language behaviour. Like when she goes into the area with the dogs, which is a good scene by the way. It just feels like she's just kind of like casually swimming, like she's going to a bar. It looks like. So.
Well, she's still a bit amnesia.
I guess so. That's what amnesia does to you.
She's like a lost little lamb.
It's not like caution, like she's not like checking her six or getting like military. Because bearing in mind, she's supposed to be like she's trained.
Well, she's trained.
Which she kicks in when it's needed. Yeah. Right at this scene, actually. So.
But prior to that, she's not really had to use it to the same degree.
So I think it just what I'm saying just right now. So after just thinking, I'm just going to get a drink at the bar. That's how it looks. Then the zombie dogs appear, which look good because they mix the CGI and actual effects as well with looks like actual dogs with covered in blood basically, which looks good, I think. But yeah, Alice somehow summons the inner super agent in her, which is a common trope.
She kicks that zombie first, the zombie guy, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Because she she's all like, I'm a lost girl, like when she's hitting him.
Yeah.
And then manages to push him away and does like a roundhouse kick to the face, which is pretty impressive. And he has a gun, which
she uses to shoot most of the dogs, and then she runs out of bullets and then does the really epic slow-mo kick the dog in the face, I guess.
Yeah. So. Into the window. And then I always think when they do like the music, it's like do, and she sort of just sits there going it's like
and then she's just like, I'm bad. Where's the bar?
Yeah, she's kind of like, well, that happened,
Yeah, that's what amnesia does to you, apparently.
Yeah.
It summons your inner powers when you need them.
Yeah. So while that is happening, it cuts to Matt, who is hunting for a desk in particular, which I always think it's funny when he finds the desk, and then that zombie that just sort of appears at the window, it kind of just goes blunk for that scare, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And then I always think it's funny when he just slides away. He's kind of just like, bye. Oh, so that was funny.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't reappear later. It looks as if he, like where Matt came in, joined to that corridor. Why would he not go and find him. But he doesn't. And he's then conveniently found by what turns out to be his sister, who tries to eat him, that Alice kills. And it's then that they...
With a paperweight.
Yes.
Expensive looking paperweight.
Yeah.
Because this is Umbrella. We have to have
Umbrella.
expensive paperweight.
We then discover that his sister was trying to stop Umbrella, and they're part of Umbrella resistance, I guess.
Anti-Umbrella, yeah, which I guess it makes sense, because Umbrella is really wealthy. That we have, of course, you're going to have people that don't like Umbrella because they've got so much money.
So Alice has been having flashbacks as well during this time, and she remembers that she's the sister's contact, but she doesn't remember if she betrayed her to release the virus or if she was still helping her. So he's like, oh, what were you? And it's like, I don't know. And then it suddenly cuts to them entering the Red Queen's chamber through a different door, which I always found was a weird jump scene. I know they meant to need to progress the story, but how would they even know that went from there to there? They just somehow suddenly know that they can get back into that room from wherever they were running in this place that neither of them have actually been in.
Yep.
But, Resident Evil.
Yep, that would be a common feature too. But I think is it at this point that Alice is starting to get the flashback they play. I think overdo a little bit with her going, oh, I've got just the flashback from the past, which goes, I've got the secret codes and all this to the girl that is dead now.
Yeah.
So,
that's what I was
which they really want to remind the viewer a lot that she did that, in case you forgot, because apparently Resident Evil assumes that the viewers have amnesia while watching it.
Yeah.
So
it's weird because you as a viewer saw that it was obviously a bloke that threw the... because he's very manly shape. Yeah. So why would you believe that Alice did actually do it? Rather to keep showing it.
Yeah.
Oh well. So there they are in the Red Queen's chamber again. And they're all like, we need to find a way out of here. So they switch her back on.
Reboot her, of course, yeah. And then she has to give the Red Queen speech, and this is gives you a long diatribe about Umbrella and this is the T virus and stuff, and I think this is where she reveals that if you get bit you turn as well.
Yeah.
I don't think do they say a cure at this point, or does Alice finds out later?
No, Alice, because she remembers it, doesn't she?
Oh, she remembers there's a cure later, but. Yeah, the Red Queen just likes to just say, just that protocol and all that crap.
But it's weird because if they had that protocol in place, why would you then send in the SWAT team to find out what it was? You'd think they'd have the protocol would also be notify that it has to the outside world that this has happened. But then that would be a really quick movie.
Yep.
So the Red Queen does give them a third route out of her chamber into the sewer system.
Mm-hmm. Because we have to have a sewer level. Oh, sorry, this is a movie. It's not a Resident Evil game. So, a lot of Resident Evil games have sewer sections. So maybe Paul W.S. Anderson was like, I really like those sewer bits in the video games. We need to have sewer moments. What I love about the sewer scene is funny because they really like to remind you that the sewers are empty, and then suddenly they're full of zombies.
Yeah.
But they keep liking to pan back to the emptiness of the sewers.
Yeah.
So they do that at the beginning, and then suddenly zombies appear,
Yeah.
and then suddenly they're empty. So I don't know what the effect they were going for was there. It doesn't really create any horror tension because they've already very exposed the zombies.
Because they appear, because is it Spence who starts going a little bit, or one of the characters starts
Game over, man.
Yeah,
He's
starts
just
going a bit, ooh, and they've pushed him up against a vent, and then it turns out the zombies are behind the vent, and they're all trying to get them, and they're all like, oh no. And this is when Mila Jovovich gives the zombie a right eyeful. With her.
Yeah, if you're gonna die as a zombie, you die between Mila Jovovich's legs and thighs, and they were happy.
This is where obviously JD, who, if you don't remember, is the character that got eaten in the elevator, has also been reanimated.
Apparently he didn't get bitten that much.
No,
because
they weren't that into the. Obviously, he did not taste like chicken.
here's a plot hole as well, because even the Red Queen points out about them devouring. It says that she does the diatribe of what the zombies are. That they have a little bit of an impulse in their brains. Fingers and hair still grows, and you have a little bit of electrical activity, and the T virus goes to your first impulse, which is to feed. And which obviously makes me do the infamous joke of thinking, well, I guess it's handy it didn't go for their other impulse, like, I don't know, want to have sex or something, because otherwise we'd have ridiculously randy zombies, which I'm sure is the porn parody of this very movie. But anyway, that's not the point of what this section is, but it's the fact that in that elevator scene, this is a common zombie issue I have anyway, is that it's implied he's devoured, and yet, here he is, a full zombie with all of his arms and limbs and everything, and he's just got what seems like minor scratches after that. Yeah, so apparently the zombies just they just caress him a little bit. And
considering the number of zombies that were there, I mean,
I know.
and he's all alone. No one's even
limbs on the floor.
Yeah, like eating his stomach, which is usually like a zombie trope, isn't it? And he also manages to get from the elevator to the sewers all on his own, and knows that the people are there. But yeah, basically, JD's all like, "Oh, Rain, I will now get to eat you finally."
Oh dear.
Sorry, that was way too open not to say. But she gets bitten by him again. Rain actually gets bitten a lot again in this scene. I think she must get bitten at least another 4 times. So that's now at like almost 10. I would probably say she's been bitten.
You're drunk by this stage.
Yeah. So they all jump up on the pipes somehow. They don't show how they all get on the pipes, but they do.
Leg me up somehow.
Yeah. And it cuts to Rain kind of blood feeding and making them all frenzied.
Yeah, I didn't. She's like that. She like that zombies. She like the blood and
yeah, she's kind of.
I didn't get that.
No, though I suppose you would be going a little bit nuts if you'd been eaten and knew you were going to turn into one of them.
What I liked about Mila Jovovich, she goes, we need to treat your wounds, and then she's just like, no, I'm fine, okay. And so I'm wondering, but at this point, if it wasn't the fact that this is a Resident Evil movie, and I would have thought maybe she has turned to a zombie, a really sarcastic one.
Yeah. Because she does get really sarky after this. She's quite funny, but it's what makes you love her character even more.
Yeah, I dig her sass the whole way through actually. And then they just got to have the little moment of calm there with the zombies, and then of course they have to escape. But oh no, freaking falls and the pipes break apart. And they split apart.
Somehow Alice flies over to the others, and Captain falls into the zombies.
She's channeling that is probably an Easter egg for the future movies, because as we all know, Alice later developed superpowers, but that's not to do with this movie.
No.
So it does the typical kind of a trope with the I've got 1 bullet left in the chamber, I'm going to shoot myself.
The whole trope of there's a way we can get you.
We can get you.
But yeah, so they cut away from him, kind of imply, and the bullet goes off, and Alice is all cuts to her eyes, and she's like, oh.
Yeah. So it's like, he's done. What I think it was the same scene as well. He does the bullet bit, and he says, "You're gonna have to work for it," which I like the quote actually. Dinner. But the thing that slightly I thought was a bit funny is that he quickly looks to the side and sees there's another route to go to escape basically. It does actually a whole shot of like, look, there's an alternative path here, because the video game pathway is open, that invisible wall has broken down, now you can go this way. So I guess in a way this is kind of a video game. But yeah, so we won't see him for a while. He'll come back later now, but he doesn't die at this stage. Yes.
Being the optimal word. Yeah. So they get out of the sewers back into the system, and this is where Alice remembers that there's a cure after doing she doesn't do the walk in the bar bit. She does the kind of the curious cat moment here with she's just looking at nothing, and I guess aren't you back? She's even back at the. I suppose she wouldn't have triggered it, because they're back at the bit where the woman in the underwater scene is in that same space. But I suppose there's nothing, no zombies. She has the flashbacks of a bunny getting injected. Yeah. For the record, that bunny zombie, we haven't seen enough of that. But it's alright. They give them the antivirus straight away. Sadly, they don't show you a bunny zombie. Oh yeah, that's it. They show, because it shows the bunny getting injected with the antivirus. I think so. And she's like, blue for the virus, green for the antivirus.
What would have been really funny if they wanted to not take themselves too seriously, if she just like did a big grin and goes, hee hee bunny, or something. But no, that didn't happen. That's me thinking of a different movie that I'd like to see. But...
Yeah. So obviously they're all excited there's a cure because obviously Rain has been bit to hell.
She does do a dynamite quote here where she goes, "I was starting to get worried," which
and just before that, when she says, "When I get out of here, I'm gonna get laid,"
which is also featured in the soundtrack. I didn't realise that when we watched the credits. She nails the one-liners in this. So she's the first female Arnie essentially with these. She's banging them out, and quite literally actually. But
so off they pop into this room. Upon which, literally practically entering the room, Spence conveniently remembers that he's the bad guy.
Yep.
Who
because Mark Antony needs to. The transformation here. He does the.
This is like instantaneous.
Just the instantaneousness. Oh, I just remembered I'm bad. And it makes me just flash back right to that early. Remember when One or Alex Salmond? Remember he tells them, the amnesia effects will last a couple of hours or days or weeks. They just get over it, don't they? Spontaneously. There's no recovery.
Because and I think it's funny how she's not shown that she even remembers that he's done something done something bad, but she kind of realises it as he realises it. They go for the gun, don't they? I was like, why would you automatically think that?
They both unanimously remember.
It's like, oh yeah, I'm bad. Because she's all like,
flooding back.
Is that how you think all my dreams would come true?
Still doesn't explain the red dress.
No. So
I'll take you on a date after.
Yeah. So he basically he also gets bitten.
Yeah.
They let him get bitten.
Yeah, I quite like that actually. It's the zombie rises from the water. They all know it's there, but he doesn't know it's there. He gets bit, which obviously forces him to kind of retreat and get to the vaccine, but
not before locking them in.
And then of course we get the Red Queen because she's so self-aware. She goes, "Not yet. I've been a bad girl." Not in that sarcastic, but unfortunately, because that would have been really good. But
she's basically like, I kept you. And she's like, why didn't you tell us that? She was saving him for us.
And this just proves that this AI is a psychopath because she shows them the CCTV footage. We haven't actually touched on the damn CGI liquor yet, which is here. But, so a CGI liquor is released a lot earlier in the movie.
Out of one of the tanks.
It's pretty forgettable though. I mean, because this CGI has not held up very well. I mean, I've just been replaying the second game excessively, and the CGI in that looks better than the CGI version they came out with this liquor, which is probably the only reference to the second game of the series that the liquor is in this, although it does seem a bit oversized for it. And this one apparently transforms as well.
No, once it feeds on human flesh, it will mutate.
It turns into like a mega liquor or something. And it's a nice little homage for people that have played the games, of course. That, look, we've got a liquor in this and stuff. And then there will be another reference to another famous character at the end of this movie. But yeah, I don't know. They do the bit earlier where the liquor escapes, and I think that's about all you see of it for a while. I think they occasionally have him appear now and then, but then the Red Queen's like, look at the liquor and look at him eating Mark Antony, and as he's trying to cure himself, and then she explains that he gets bigger as he eats flesh, and she's just loving it. She just loves showing people. It's just...
because then the between the platform, I mean, I suppose it's not particularly that far, but the liquor soon gets from there.
Yeah, pretty much.
Banging on the window. Somehow he
gets from the train to the window and knows where everybody is instantly because it's a liquor.
Yeah, and I mean, he was mutated. He's now got like super hearing. So they're all like, open the doors, let us out. And but she's like, obviously Rain is infected and she can't be escaped. But if they kill her, they will be released. So Rain's all like, I like the bit where she kind of picks up the axe, doesn't she? Because she's like, and then she's like, F this.
It's fun. This scene's interesting because this almost made, if the AI was actually not so crazy in terms of, it didn't seem so self-aware about everything, if it was a competent AI is what I'm saying, like a proper AI or more computerized and feeling human, I would have thought this might make some sense when she says that I can't have a diseased person in this vicinity. If you kill it, I'll let you out. So I kind of like that in a way, but unfortunately you can't believe it because of how crazy the AI is. Like why can't you? Especially since they've bypassed it several times.
Yeah.
So yeah, they obviously don't kill Michelle Rodriguez. She smashes the screen instead, and then
Though it is quite a tense scene.
it is. Yeah,
If you don't know,
it's effective and
everyone's screaming, and they're all like killer.
and does the infamous and you think she's gonna do it, but of course she's not. And then
and then the door opens.
And the door opens, and generic white guy survivor from earlier, who's obviously the data guy I'm talking about, is he's fried her basically. Goes, I had to fry her.
Because somehow on his own he managed to escape all those zombies.
For the convenience of the plot.
But I think he's gotten bitten because he does take
he has been bitten.
The cure, but still it's kind of like he somehow managed to survive getting all the way back to there with them. So they all run off to the train station. Alice goes to
Licker's nowhere to be seen now.
No, he jumps into the room, doesn't he? And they close the door on him.
Yeah, they do.
So why he wouldn't just jump out of the window?
Yeah,
straight away.
So strong.
But basically, Alice goes and gets the cure from the back of the train. Who we now call Mark Antony, his body is sort of hangling there, and
this is pretty good. Yeah,
he suddenly awakens reanimated, and that I also remember thinking was pretty creepy actually, because he's all like drooling and gross.
Yeah, he makes a good zombie actually. But again, this is when I'm going with that consistency is inconsistent. He turns bloody quickly, unless it's supposed to be liquors make you turn super fast after you're dead.
But I like the bit when he grabs her boot.
Yeah, he grabs her
and
boot.
he's just like, and she hits him on the head with the axe.
I'm missing you already.
Yeah.
Which is the... Oh dear.
But because he says that to her,
Yeah.
which is why obviously when he locks them in, and obviously that's why she then says it to him. But it's made out as if it's a thing they say to each other.
Yeah.
But obviously you don't know that because they both have amnesia.
It might be made more sense if they actually were a couple instead of this fake couple that they've been had to be. Fake.
Well, they do sleep together though, don't they? They do have the flashback.
You have to. You're a married couple, even if you're even if you're faking it, you've got to have fake sex, of course. Because it's Umbrella.
They pay for it.
Yeah, they do. They probably watched it on CCTV as well. But anyway, so back on the train. So this is kind of like the last sort of, almost last action part.
Almost the last bit.
We're almost there. So everyone's getting there. They're getting jacked with the cure, and
it's kind of a little sweet moment actually, because Alice is giving the cure to Rain, and I like this. It's kind of like, and I like the bit when because Rain kind of goes to sleep, doesn't she? And,
so you think she's gone.
I think she's gone. And Alice is all like, I'm going to shoot her. And then she kind of wakes up and grabs the gun.
Yeah.
And they're all like, and she's like, I could kiss you, bitch, doesn't she? And I think that's sweet when Matt's like watched them and you're just like, they're all going to get out alive.
It's all going to be okay. Everything's going to be fine.
And then, the liquor comes along.
What's really funny, though, and this is why, again, inconsistency is that... So the liquor obviously comes and tirades everything and kills Data Guy very quickly as well.
Well, he basically kind of just chucks him out of the train.
Which is very unsatisfying as well, especially for his character who survived all that he survived. So he just disappears. He's dead, of course. But so Michelle Rodriguez turns very quickly, but without even really realising it. Again, this goes to its consistency where you don't even know she's dead.
Well, she can't, because the liquor bursts through, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Matt gets hit by the door, and you can kind of see her crawling away at one point. But obviously you're meant to be that you're so distracted with the liquor that you don't realise until he knocks these pipes into the liquor, who is like licking Alice.
Quite literally, licking Alice's boot.
Yeah. And she uses the pipes to get his tongue poised.
Trap it in there.
And then she's like, open the door!
Release the door!
And then to me, because Matt messes around, obviously trying not to get eaten by Michelle Rodriguez, why would the liquor not just literally jump over her?
Yeah.
Because it's just a tongue. It's this big,
no tongue.
thing. And it's quite a long tongue. He'd still have plenty to spare. You can still get her to eat her. He's literally like, an arm's width practically away. But instead he does wait nice and patiently for Matt to kill Rain.
Of course.
Very conveniently shot.
Who shoots her in the head, so she pushes the button that releases the thing that kills the liquor. Oh, how convenient.
Yeah. I do like the bit there when she comes back and she clicks her neck.
That was I forgot. That was good. Yeah, she's a badass looking zombie, but she looks like, I don't understand how she so fastly transforms to looking like a zombie.
Yeah.
So you can even like her teeth look like they've degraded so rapidly as well, within literally what seems like seconds. Oh well, but it is what it is. Yeah. So Alice and Derpy Matt get out, and
with like 20 seconds to spare before the blast doors that would have sealed them in forever.
Yep.
Come down.
It closes the hive forever until the later movie, but we'll get to that.
Yeah. So Alice is all a bit, I've failed them, and Matt's trying to console her, and she's like listening, but he's been scratched
for the liquor.
And she's all like, I'm not losing you too, you're infected.
But she goes into like doctor mode here. She just goes, you're infected, don't worry, I'm going to operate. So it opens up the thing. And the lab coats bust in, don't they? And they just take that. And then you get because this is something we're going to say right at the end, is that I'm surprised they're so ambitious the sequel is going to happen, because they're very quick to say to you, put him in the Nemesis project.
Yeah.
It's
like he's mutated, I want him in the Nemesis program.
Mm-hmm.
And she's all obviously like mad and like screaming and shouting, and he's like, take her to the raccoon
the raccoon
department what it's called. I want to see if she's infected. But you could probably tell that quite easily if she was infected. She's not got any bites or anything.
Yeah.
But
they just want to get her naked. But
they do, because it then switches again to her being a newborn naked baby.
Mm-hmm.
But this time she does at least have like paper towels covering her hoo-has.
Yeah. Just about.
So it jumps forward, and Alice wakes up on a medical bed covered in tubes. And I always makes me cringe when she pulls the tubes out the side of her head.
Rip it out. You get the quick, like the jump scare of the guy walking past the window, which that's supposed to be a zombie.
I think he's meant to be a zombie.
Probably, yeah.
Because the window's one of those like cop windows that's a mirror but can see out, and she's all like, "Let me out." So she ends up releasing herself using her remembered spy tactics, which apparently
metal bits can get you through barcode sealed doors somehow. But yeah,
it works.
I did like it when she gets out of this facility. This is quite an effective setup to a sequel, where she's going through the streets and there's the newspaper bits that say the dead are walking and all that stuff. I did quite like that, the way we finish off here.
Yeah, and she gets the shotgun. And I do like the bit where she kind of just goes.
Yeah, she loads it and
pans out.
And then that pretty much is the end of the movie, and Slipknot kicks in, because which is good, which is awesome. I quite like this song.
Yeah, I do. I remember reading something about how they had to close a street. I think it was like in New York or something, because they had to have the really big towers.
Yeah, it's quite common. Yeah.
And they closed this whole street up. But I'm sure I read somewhere that someone actually walked out on the set.
Probably, yeah. That usually does happen. I mean, another obviously infamous example is 28 Days Later closed. But they shot that really early in the morning. London, which is a beautiful scene to this day, where you'll never ever see London look that empty. But yeah, that's obviously a different movie, and a very good movie if you're into the kind of zombie-esque style of films. But then if you're listening to this, you probably have seen 28 Days Later.
Yeah. Basically, I mean, that is Resident Evil. I still really like it.
Yeah, today.
Yeah, I think it. I mean, obviously, there's a couple of CG not so good.
It's not aged particularly well in some areas. Yeah, my thoughts are kind of boring and the same, in the sense that I think it's still good. I don't think it didn't set the world on fire to me, but it never did back then either. But I don't think it's terrible. I think it's a film that has potential, really. There are things I like about it. Kind of repeating what I said at the beginning, I think, if you're a kind of a video game purist of the Resident Evil series, you're probably not going to care for this particular.
Did you know Marilyn Manson helped to do the composing of some of this?
Yeah, I think I did read that somewhere, absolutely. It makes sense with the style of music they've got, because they're going for that kind of, metally, shouty kind of music, which works really well with the soundtrack in this, actually. But yeah, because I haven't really touched much on the comparisons with the game, because there's not really, I think there's more comparisons to be made in the next movie, I think, when we go there. But the only things they really link is obviously zombies are in the games, the liquor is in Resident Evil 2, Nemesis is referenced in this movie, which is obviously Resident Evil 3, but they don't use any characters in this movie that are in the Resident Evil games. That will be something that comes later, but I guess the kind of the mansion setting, I don't think maybe it was a really piss poor attempt at the Spencer Mansion from the very first game, who knows, but obviously the underground lab is a infamous staple for the Resident Evil series, where you tend to end up in some sort of underground lab at some stage in most of the games in the series. But that's really it. But yeah, I think for this first sort of watching of the first Resident Evil movie, yeah, I think it still kind of holds up, really. It's still pretty decent.
On a very small tangent away from things, anybody who's seen Harry Potter or, who's in his own thing that I can't remember the name of, basically the actor Jason Isaacs, who's Draco Malfoy's dad in Harry Potter. I remember seeing him before and thinking, oh, it's a weird cameo, because he's basically one of the doctors that Alice sees. He has a mask on, and it was originally thought that he would come back to play that doctor, but instead he couldn't do it, and they got Ian Glenn to come in to play but to play a character called Dr. Isaacs, which was meant is a homage to that actor. Nice. He actually appeared, Jason Isaacs, in a lot of Paul W.S. Anderson's early films, which was why he was there in the first place. But I thought that was a really cool sort of little nod, because I always wondered why he was there, and thinking, it's a real random bit in the midst of his career starting off, why you just do no lines and just stare at a person. But still, that was just a little tangent that I wanted to throw in there.
That's good. Any sort of final thoughts for Resident Evil Revisited?
Well, people may or may not be interested that it did score 34% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I guess that's bad.
I don't think that's great. It's basically
I don't know. This is going off a bit of a tangent, but you like what you like, guys. If I mean, I make this argument a lot. There are terrible movies out there that I really dig, and then there's good movies I just think are terrible. But,
I mean, this is very much a critics didn't really get it, whereas by the fact that it's still rated as one of the best live action series for video games, really.
I think I'd probably still say it is one of the better, and I'm definitely on the on that sort of side of I don't see how you can make video games good movies, considering, because I just think, well, just play the damn game already. But that's another debate we'll cover in a later sort of episode. But yeah, I think this is certainly of all video game movie things that exist, this is one of the better ones, in my opinion. Again, going back to critics and stuff, this is not, I wouldn't expect critics to like this anyway. But again, it depends what you want out of a movie. If you just want some dumb fun, this absolutely has all of that in it. And it's a fun movie, I think. It's definitely, and if you're a big horror guy, because Fred and I do Horror 101, of course, this isn't like the pinnacle of horror. It doesn't do anything special. It's just mediocre, really. It's just good. But you might find some charm in it, like we have from talking through this podcast. It has some fun moments, and if that's what you want, you'll have a blast watching this again, even for that, even just to poke fun at it. Really.
And I mean, worst case scenario, you get to watch Alice in a weird shaped dress. So I mean,
there's absolutely things in it, maybe it might be worth doing that to end on, is the things that maybe I would prefer to have seen in this movie instead. I mean, it's probably worth saying, actually, because, they're rebooting this now. They are planning to bring back the Resident Evil films, I guess, from scratch.
Which I think, doesn't Anderson want to do them again himself?
He does, but I don't think he's going to be involved in these ones. My theory is that, because of Resident Evil 7 came out just last year, that they'll probably reboot it and try and be like that, so a bit more kind of. But it's weird though, because Resident Evil 7 obviously is inspired by older horror movies like Evil Dead and stuff, so it'd be weird them copying themselves. Anyway, I don't know. Maybe we should. I think we should do that as a separate thing right at the end of what we think where the series should go. But for this movie, things I probably maybe would like to have seen instead is that it would have been nice if they just had a bit more consistency with the whole zombie thing. I would have really admired them, actually, from a design point of view, is just to have the zombies to look brand new people. It makes you believe a bit more that they weren't zombies as a viewer as well, that they look normal. But maybe you could degrade them later, maybe like the ones like the lady in the water, because she's been stuck in water for a few hours.
Yeah, actually, the lady in the water is probably
the
most normal looking.
She still looked nice. She still looked. No, that's what I mean by the consistency. Yeah. It seems to be lacking. It would also just be refreshing, because a lot of zombie things don't do that, where zombies are just generically degraded very quickly. So I would have liked to have seen that, but I can see why they did it still. I would have liked it if they did the licker bit a bit better. I didn't like the whole there's just one licker and he's uber hard to kill, apart from when we shove him down a train or whatever. Yeah, I think what would have worked better with the lickers is if they had more than one, like aliens. So they had a few of them instead, but they weren't hard to kill, but they were just a bit overwhelmed.
Yeah, they do kind of try to address that later, though, don't they?
Yeah, they do. But if they wanted to nod it to the games as well, if you're going to do a licker death, it would be pretty neat to have like a licker decapitate someone with the tongue. But that's just something from the game. That'd been kind of fun to see. But
see, that's what they could have done with Kaplan. That would have made such a better death. You know, he could have opened the door and just gone. That would have been good.
Be kind of a fun nod to the series as well. What would have been also a kind of fun nod to the actual video games as well, is if they did do some of the character deaths a bit like the games were. I'm not saying they should flash up "you're dead" on the screen like they do in the game, but they did like the pan shot of them being, because when usually in the games when you get killed by an enemy, it pans out as you're being eaten or whatever, or being devoured or whatever. That would have been kind of cool to see in this film, but it doesn't happen. But again, you know, I'm not offended that it's not in there. That's just, it would have been interesting to see. And certainly the final bit is the consistency of the, you know, empty corridors, and then then the plot dictates it. It's weird. I never understand that. Why is it just empty when it needs to be, and then suddenly particularly the sewer bit, that's what annoyed me a lot, where it's just, it shows you the shot of it empty, full of zombies, and then it's just empty again. So anyway, but that's Resident Evil. Any final bit, any things you'd like to improve or change, or any thoughts there? You just like the movie anyway.
I agree with what you're saying with a lot of the bits.
I'm only looking at
I always kind of found it like, you know, with the degradation of the zombies, and also the fact that they somehow know that they're in the sewers. You know you know, I'm sure they say at one point there's like 5,000 workers that work and live there. I mean, that would have been interesting if they could have gone maybe to like some of the apartments or something, gone to different areas of the complex rather than just the 3 areas. I know it's meant to be got like a 2-hour time frame, but still, that would have been kind of interesting. But yeah, I think generally speaking, I really do like the film. It was one of those, to the point where when the next film came out, I won't say, but I really did want to see that. You know, it made me want to see the films, and
we knew a second one was coming at the end of this.
So, but yeah, I think generally speaking, really good film, and I'm looking forward to retrospectively looking to the second one with you next time.
Not sure if I have so much. So one final thing I would say, which I loved, this is a common trope with the Resident Evil movies generally, and probably a lot of horror movies that I watch, is I really just wish if you were to redo these sort of films, make the characters count. I can't stand it. That's as I've joked throughout this retrospective, is that when I said generic derpy white guy and generic person, it doesn't take much just to build the characters up just a little bit. A few sentences just to introduce them, maybe who they are, what they do. You can even do the typical kind of like, I don't know, like say a Predator movie. This is the tech guy. This is the thing guy. Do it like a really quick montage at the beginning of these, you know, the people.
Because they touched briefly on the medic because she just checked them out
badly.
With the amnesia.
It's so sort of brushed away.
But yeah, the two other guys. You mean, you know, that is literally
it just doesn't take much. I much prefer it when, even if you're going to kill them off in seconds, at least maybe give us something.
Be like Suicide Squad with that guy who gets got really quickly.
Slipknot, oh god, that movie's terrible.
But at least, you know, they still introduced him, even though he's just.
They do, yeah. Oh, but then that movie's just.
That's a different thing.
We won't go there. Yeah. But
so, right,
that's Resident Evil. Go watch it. It's alright. It's probably on Netflix.
So. Yeah. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Where do you stand on Marmite?
Yeah. Well, so we'll be back with we'll be back with more podcasts, but we'll be back with Resident Evil Apocalypse next, because they don't do numbers, which I kind of like. They name it. I know a lot of people don't like that, but I'm down with names.
Yeah, I find the names funny.
The names are funny because they run out of ways to signify the end.
Yeah, it's like, right, how else can we say that the world has ended?
Which yeah, so
I will say it's goodbye from me.
Yep, if you want to check me out, I'm usually on Twitter, at Jamalaeus. You're at me Tindy. And we will see you next time.
Bye.
Have a mad one.